spent without receipt and without accounting in politics. Or two, it is brought in by foreign sources that have interests, business interests that are local, who are investing in particular leadership with a vested interest that they hope to receive.
And the same obtained in Libya. The same obtained in Libya. It's France, Britain, and America that have been bankrolling Gaddafi.
Indeed, it is possible. That all that is possible. But another notable thing is that when you find people coming in to intervene with their own vested interest, they intervene where there has already been a swell of a particular thinking that is definitely that is in contradiction of the existing order. Right. Some people think differently, so they provide that opportunity to be invested upon. But I think it is also important that Africa must learn to deal with its problems, and each nation must learn to deal with its problems through visionary leadership.
Oh, we have visionary leadership in this country. There's no shortage. First of all, you brought up two issues. I would like us to isolate this problem, first of all, from the Western intervention.
Yes.
You said there's need for these leaders to represent the future.
Yes.
Muammar Gaddafi has his son, Saif, and whatever. He went to LSE. He has a PhD from there. He's very westernized. He's been throwing parties in, posh sections of London. And what's wrong with that? The son represents the future. He speaks British English, almost.
Political leadership in this day is democratic. It's not monarchical.
It's not monarchical.
Over 200 countries in the world today, I think there's only about 5 or 4 that still have leadership that is transferred from father to son. And you may also note that Mubarak had his son. He was smoked out. You have seen Libya and the sons. This is going on. It has both a sense of dynastic rule is moving out. And I must note about Bush. When Obama became president of America, he beat the McCain dynasty. He triumphed over the Bush dynasty. And it was a triumph over dynasties. That is what is actually going on.
Well, let's get it clear here. Yes. It's really not about. A leader could have his family,
but America was not bombed,
but they have a democracy. It's let's isolate these facts for us to understand them very well. The other issue you raised, Mr. Ogot, is that money, when you monetize politics, when you see, like we saw in the last election, a large amounts of money were put out. Billboards here, billboards there. You technically seem to create a ruling class. You isolate people. You come from a family, and then you can only your family can bring politicians.
Actually, it becomes tantamount to creating a fiefdom. A fiefdom that has a mass of people who must look up to specific, or maybe 1 or 2% of the population for leadership, because that 1 or 2% is the one that has access to cash.
And so they can get
it. In other words, that able children from poor families cannot get leadership, and yet we live in situations where a majority of the children in the places where we live, poverty is rampant. So you can imagine that the swelling masses of the poor people and the poor children who have no access but are completely able, well-educated or very intelligent, cannot access leadership because his father was not either involved in corruption or he himself has chosen the right path of serving his nation in a way that he does not receive or compromise his integrity and the integrity of his nation.
So monetizing politics basically creates a caste system.
Ultimately, the end result of monetizing politics...
This one is going to die poor because it was born in a poor...
Yes, if you monetize politics, ultimately, the writing is on the wall at the end of the tunnel.
Well, Mr. Mayanja, could we have seen Libya coming?
Well, I was talking to a friend on Thursday before the resolution of the UN. And I told this friend that, you know what? The moment that resolution comes through, the West is going to overstretch it.
Right.
What I see in Libya today, I think they are overstretching that resolution.
What could they have done?
You know, the West made diplomatic mistakes. And I think my brother, Rwomushana, tried to allude to this.
Yes.
You know, when they saw Tunisia and Ben Ali went,
yes,
they also saw Egypt and Baraka went. And they thought it was going to be easy in Egypt. In Libya.
But these are the Libyan people.
Do you know what they did? They started making very embarrassing diplomatic statements. That for the case of France, they went out of their way and they said we'd no longer recognize the Gaddafi regime.
Right.
And they said we recognize the rebels.
What was wrong
Now,
with that?
when this
That's
came,
madness.
it is very wrong.
I would like us. Let
You can't be a member of the Security Council and you recognize rebels.
Sorry, I would like us to isolate the Western intervention.
No,
Let's first of
But they are the ones who are bombing Africa. What's wrong with you?
I'm coming to
These
that.
are bombing children of Africa.
we'll talk about it. Let's talk about the root of it. Let's
Yes,
start from the
I'm
foundation.
coming to that.
Yes.
So I told a friend that if this resolution comes, then the West is going to save its face. They are going to use it, and I don't see an escape for Gaddafi.
What's the solution? African solution. Polish our shoes and go to Antarctica.
Of course, Africa will never have a solution. Because what Gaddafi does is what is done everywhere in Africa.
So where should the solution
And I was talking to a friend today that if the West want to be seen as very logical, as very original, what they are doing in Libya should be done in Ivory Coast. Gapco is doing exactly what Gaddafi is doing in Libya.
Yes.
He's killing his own people. He lost an election and stayed around. He said, I will not go.
Nothing happened.
And these people rise up, then he starts to kill them. So if the West is doing that to Libya,
They should have bombed
they
the Kenya.
should have done that.
They should
to
have
Ivory
bombed the
Coast.
Kenya.
So I agree with you.
They should have gone everywhere this thing has happened, where governments are killing their own people. And you know what? They are only interested in Libya because we know why they are interested in Libya.
Well, because they wanted to kill. Gaddafi wanted to kill his own people.
Oil
No, it is not about that.
and Libya has
And let
invested
me
in their
tell you,
countries.
I was telling a friend that I don't like Gaddafi a single bit because a president ruling his own people for 42 years is despicable, is preposterous.
For me, the only thing I don't like
So,
him is
you know what?
his bad fashion sense.
If that's what we are saying, yes, that's wrong. But you know what? Gaddafi, as a government, has a right to defend his government. You have an uprising in his own country, and the other people on the opposite side are armed.
Well, but he said he was going to attack Benghazi and said, "We'll find you in your closets. We'll kill you in your cupboards."
If you have those are war
Against his own people.
What did the West do when Russia invaded Chechnya? What did the West do when the Sri Lanka was killing Tamiris?
We'll get to that. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. Listeners, tonight we're looking at the Libyan crisis. What lessons should African leaders draw from this saga? What are the likely implications as far as democratization is concerned? We are going for a commercial break, but we'll be back to look at this issue in deeper detail. Whether leaders who stay in power too long should be bombed by the West, whether they should have uprisings, whether what is happening in Libya should be solved by Africans, or whether it should be solved with bombs from the West. Stay tuned, because we'll be back.
The art of crafting a masterpiece.
We are proud to offer you Nile Gold Crystal Malt Lager, made from the finest crystal malt at the finest brewery with the finest, purest water from the source of the Nile. Naturally, there are no additives or preservatives and no sugar. It is simply exquisite. A jewel, a masterpiece.
Nile Gold Crystal Malt Lager. Beyond an ordinary malt.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90. Watch it on your PC or cell phone now. On your PC, go to radio1fm90.com. Choose Spectrum Videos. Then choose the Spectrum video that you like to watch. On your cell phone, visit youtube.com. Search for Radio 1 Spectrum. Choose the Spectrum video that you like to watch. To get these directions again, SMS the word Spectrum to 7197. Spectrum on radio1fm90.com. And when are you